for once again tuning in to AM Rockland's News. I have with us once again County Executive Ed Day for his weekly spot on Tuesdays. And Ed, thanks for being on Rockland News this afternoon.
As always, happy to be here, Tom.
Absolutely. So the 2026 budget came out, and I was wondering if you could highlight some of the main points of it.
Sure, absolutely. Well, first of all, it's a $913.8 million budget. And put that in perspective, going back maybe 6, 7 years ago, if we had done nothing to what was going on here in county government as far as our finances, we would have cracked the $1 billion mark. Think
Hmm.
about that for a second. So that's how much we have reduced the size and scope of county budget without cutting back on services. So the biggest highlight right now is we have a zero county property tax increase. We're keeping the taxes flat.
Hmm.
This is if you look at the last 5 years, we've had zero zero minus two zero minus two minus two then is zero again. So
Right. Yeah.
we've kept and that was we had a 4% cut in taxes during that period of time. So
It's
um,
basically been no increases over the last 4 to 5 years.
yeah, exactly. And you could look at where we were when I came in to office. We were facing consecutive tax increases of 30%, 18%, and 12%. Scary. So those days are thankfully long gone. We are returning money to the people in the ways we should be doing it, and we're very pleased with that. Um, the one thing I would offer is on the budget part of this. I could have been a hero and cut taxes again, but it would have been very, very risky. People, have provided a great deal of trust in what we've been doing here over the last number of years, and we don't put risk on people's money. We don't know, when we go into the budget season, many things we have to project. It is a big projection of where we think we'll be, what our needs are going to be, and we get as much information as possible so that we can make a good judgment of what we can do for the following year when we submit the proposed budget on the 1st of October.
Hmm.
This year is probably the most crazy year I've ever seen here in county government, with all that's going on between at the federal level
Right.
and the state level. That people forget that part. During this back and forth you see and read about in the media, is the state does reimbursements. If they get hit with cutbacks at the federal level, there's always a chance they will pass those costs along to us to pay.
Hmm.
Now that frankly should get everybody's ire up because a number of these things are because of the failings of state government. State government, for example, $1.2 billion of Medicaid funds went to people living outside the state. I mean, that is just beyond mind blowing at this point. So this is the kind of stuff that the federal government is focusing on with the states, and we may become collateral damage when it comes to revenues. So we had
Right.
to be very careful. So we put the budget together with that in mind. We are also monitoring for those who are concerned about their organizations. Frankly, um, we have ongoing monitoring by our executive chiefs teams right now to make sure we know exactly where we are, what's going on, what are we hearing from our commissioners and our department managers as it relates to things they're hearing about what could be changing. And we want to make sure that we are way in front of this because we don't want to have any situations where we have major cutbacks in the county and we really want to avoid that. So that's one thing I will assure the people that we are keeping a close eye on what's going on at all levels of government, and as it could affect county finances. Um,
Hmm.
some of, some of the things we've done also as part of the budget, Tom. The Rockland County Firefighter Memorial is nearly complete. It's on the front
Right.
lawn.
Yes.
Yeah,
Heard about that the other day. So that sounds awesome, and big fan.
exactly, and this is something that's been for years. There's been various attempts to do this. We have an EMS memorial by the fire training center. We have obviously the police memorial on the courthouse steps. There's never been a success in efforts to get a firefighter memorial. So finally, and I want to give a shout out to Sheriff Lou Falco. You may say there's always battles between the battles of the badges when it comes to fire and police officers.
Mm.
The reality is that we're brothers, and we brothers and sisters, and we know that. And Lou got to pull the bull by the horns, sat down with me. We took a look at the cost and things of the nature that we would need to do, because most of these issues are usually done. They're done on volunteer basis. People do donations and such. This is something we took on our own, in tandem with any kind of donations that were being made by those who were looking to help out.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it was something like about the county's adding about 1 million to
yeah,
the
exactly.
program.
Yep,
And
exactly, and it's really something it's just the right thing. We should have had this a long time ago, and it really there was so many good efforts made. It just was not picking up steam, and we owe this to those who gave their lives, and
right,
we owe it to those who serve.
yeah,
We do that with the military up at Haverstraw Bay Park. So it was something we thought was right and proper, and something that really will speak loudly to our respect for the fire service and what they do. Also, something more tangible to each volunteer, whether he or she be uh, EMS, or auxiliary police. We added $1 million to the Heroes program.
hmm,
That's a tuition reimbursement plan that we've been using. It's reimbursed nearly $400,000 in college tuition to date. And what happens is you get $6,000 for volunteer emergency responders who I was actually show that they have spent their required time with the service. And this is a recruitment and retention program. It's
right,
something that we see those who we're trying to hit the course, especially because obviously many of these people are younger. They're just starting out in life in many ways, so we want to make sure we help them as much as we can.
yeah.
All towards investing within our own county and our own people.
Yeah, and what I've found is, and we work a lot with the Wayne Hose Fire Company up here. Is recruitment is something that the various firehouses have been focusing on some more, especially since post COVID, and a lot of them are putting forms out, paper recruitment, training programs. It's great. So, and that integrates, of course, with
Yep.
Rockland County Fire Level.
Yeah.
Now, the college tuition reimbursement, and that's something that they can use locally. Like for instance, if they went to like St. Thomas Aquinas College or Rockland Community College, they could use it for that as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, they can.
That's cool. That's very cool. That kind of brings me back to. You remember when you came to one of our North Rockland Chamber of Commerce meetings? It was at the Garner Arts Center, and you were talking about the need to have more college students staying in this area because we have like really great colleges, in my opinion.
Correct.
And I'm just amazed. Like, it's one of those hidden gems that we have in the county that, hopefully we get more of that next generation sort of thing where they're staying here and they're building up Rockland too and enjoying
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely. Again, it's helpful in so many different ways, which we can go on forever about this topic, obviously. But to
Yeah.
maintain your young people who are here, and having them feel that they have options to grow here and to put down roots here is so important, because how many times have you heard that the kids have moved away, and mom and dad or grandma and grandpa are still here? Um,
Hmm.
it really hits home. So
Yeah.
we're happy to help out in those areas. And again, this goes back to what I've said 3 or 4 years ago, when I characterized the budget as an effort that to invest in ourselves. Let's make sure that the money that we are collecting in revenues, that we use those funds to accomplish something great and good in our own community. And that has been a guiding light in many ways for us as we've been processing through the budget season. Like I said, the investment, and not just the volunteer fire service, the volunteer services. We also have continued investment in recruitment and training, getting quality people to work for county government, because it's very important. Because the better the people are that we hire, the better our services will be to the people of Rockland County. So
Hmm.
it's something else we focus on. We also have addressed something that that is has often been ignored is necessary training. My experience in civil service between here and also with law enforcement is that when you have people who are working and they take a test, for example, civil service test, and they get promoted. They get promoted and they go into the job, and frankly, what would happen is they learn by the seat of their pants.
Oh
That,
yeah.
that's not a good way to go.
It's not. Yeah, I gotta say, I can relate to that because I mean, it's several different companies now. It's the news. There's the old web design company, which is still going nicely, thankfully, for the last 18 years. But that first 5 years, it was getting ramped up with everything. Like for instance, payroll and requirements and insurance for it was web design. Like the worst that can happen to you is you get carpal tunnel syndrome.
Right.
Well, but you had to get insurance and everything. So it was, if I look back at those first 5 years, I'm like, definitely recruitment and training would have been good, not just for the other team members, but also for the self.
Yeah, well, like I said, it has a domino effect in so many different ways. So I've insisted that we make sure the training is current, up to date, something that is certainly compelling and part of today's scenarios. And we've been doing that quite much. And I want to give our personnel department, headed up by Lori Grubel, our commissioner of personnel, for the great work that they've done to adapt that program and to make sure that people who are brought into this organization, people who are excelling in this organization, are developed in the proper way. We have an emerging leaders program, and this, I've always had a very simple way of addressing hires for people. First of all, I don't do initial interviews. I have a team in my executive office who will initially do initial interviews to come up with maybe three people for a position. In this way, there's nobody saying I'm putting my finger on a scale. I want my people to be measured independently from any other possibilities, and so that's the one thing we do. The other thing we do with emerging leaders is that I've always said that we should have people who work here have a sense that they can move up in the organization. And basically what happens here, when there's an opening, we will either hire from within or we will bring people from the outside.
Right.
It's a mixed bag, and I think that's important. It shows people that, especially those who are working here, that there's no way we're going to ignore quality people in our own organization. But that said, we also can look around for the most qualified individuals we can.
Now, it's a terrible thing for me to say because I'm not a member of Leadership Rockland. I just didn't have the time for it and everything, but it's part of the emerging leadership programs that Rockland has, if I'm not mistaken. So, like for instance, I'm looking at the press release for the proposed 2026 budget,
right?
And I see the emerging leaders program on here. Now, is that, I should take a step back. Is that part of Leadership Rockland?
No, not at all. This is all we've developed this program ourselves.
Okay, I'm very sorry.
No, that's all right. And it's also focused on people who are here, who are shining. And again, that's so important because you can get very stale within the civil service mentality. And we want to make sure we have as much we can to keep people up and running and looking forward to what can they bring to the table next. And you get the juices going then, and you'd be shocked. We have a couple of people who took the emerging leader program. One young lady in our office here in community relations, who was really taking the place by storm, and she clearly identified as an emerging leader. So we picked her up. We had a situation, as you remember, Lucy Rezapotsky was our.
Oh yeah, Lucy. Yeah.
She was a one person wrecking crew when it came to making sure that we got everything we could for tourism and for economic development.
Yeah,
and
she was amazing.
We had a situation where she had a situation that she had no longer could stay with the organization, and she had to leave the area.
Right.
Now, normally, given how much that particular job has taken up from time wise from all of us, and how much we've been involved with it, that could have been a very damaging effort by losing somebody like that. But again, with the program, we had another person who we had put into the American Rescue Plan oversight program that we had
Mhm.
here, and that lady was promoted, and she stepped right into the position that Lucy was in, and
Mhm.
That's Jenna Nazario.
Yeah, that's
She's
right.
done an
Yeah.
amazing. You know Jenna because she worked on your effort with the music fest.
Really has. It's so I would say if I put it into some sort of context, it's that Lucy really created the environment for economic development and tourism to thrive, and Jenna is taking the ball and running with it. And it's not just Rockland Music Fest, and I'm very thankful that you guys helped to do the outbound tours. That's amazing. But there's so many programs, as you know, like for instance, the Haverstraw Eats and Beats, the Nyack Jazz Festival. So it's that division, economic development and tourism. I mean, I get it. The amount of tourism dollars that comes in as a result of the programs. I believe there's a figure out there for
Yeah,
that?
basically this comes from the state. Not having the notes in front of me, but the amount of in order if it was not for tourism income revenues coming into the county,
Hmm.
in order to maintain the same level of services, if we did not have that, it would look at an added cost per household of about $600 each year.
Yeah. So less activity and more money that
Right.
the taxpayer would have to use.
Yep.
So.
Exactly. And again, this really was the one thing that I focused on when I first got elected. I never thought it would take off the way it did. I'll give you a quick example. I was out at the Jacobs the Sloat House in Suffern, not Suffern, in Sloatsburg some time ago, and they had a bluegrass festival out there, and they had a really great turnout. So I asked the folks who were running the show wanted to know if I'd make a welcome. I said certainly. So introduced myself. I welcomed them to Rockland County. I said I'm just out of curiosity. Could people? I like to know who here has come from other places to Rockland, and so just raise your hand. And about 30 to 40% of the people raised their hands. So basically, we had a lot of people coming into Rockland County, and what they were doing, Tom, is spending money, having a
Mhm.
great time, going to come back again. And every time someone makes a purchase here, guess what? A part of that goes towards paying for our services here in Rockland County
Yep.
because there's revenue that we will take in. So, like I said, it's something that really has a lot of value to it. It's tangible value. And the
Mhm.
one thing I did want to mention too with the training, okay, why it's important to do things. One of the things I'm a bug about, I've been like that since I was in the legislature, is to make sure that we're sensitive to what computers can do and shouldn't be doing also,
Mhm.
and the damage could happen. Suffolk County took a $10 million hit because of a shoddy, I would say, less than up less than a desirable area where they wanted to do training for people to ensure that they didn't compromise their computer systems out there. We
Right.
dodged that bullet because we actually test our people here. We will send them ghost emails that are designed to be possible, possible
Phishing scam sort of.
yeah, the things
Yeah.
of that nature, and we
Mhm.
see if they click on them, see if they take the bait. And
Right.
we've done this, and we've gotten since we started that program, we've gotten really much better in ensuring that people understand what to look for when they go on their computer and make sure that they don't click on things when they don't
Right.
know what it is. I mean, and also it's a situation we have a lot of sensitive information, as does any other government. We tell the people straight out. It's something I did many years ago when I was working in the private sector and
Mhm.
as security director, um, was that there's a lot of information there, and some of it obviously can be personal. So why would you want to compromise not just the information for yourself, but your coworkers? So
Yeah.
yeah, you have to make it something that they understand and see as being important to them. And we've had a tremendous success with that. We've dodged a couple of major bullets, no pun intended.
Yep. No, I hear you. My friend John Sandak, I've known him for like 25 years. He used to work at Sharp Corporation, so he's been in IT for before fire was invented. But he just he and I, he's been on the podcast too, and he talks about, and I've gotten fooled by it too. Like, for instance, somebody sends a simple email, saying, I got this like about 2 months ago. It's like, hey, my payroll information changed. Can you change it in the payroll system? And I for a minute I was just like, yeah, sure. And then I looked at the email address, and
Exactly.
it was completely illegitimate. So, and John, he does training and all sorts of programs on that. But yeah, it's definitely something people don't even realize until it's too late.
And
So
it's costly, very costly. When
yeah.
I tell our people that a $10 million hit on our budget over carelessness, you people want to have get raises. It's at some point at the end of the year. Well, we're
Mhm.
not gonna have any money to give you a raise, that's for sure. Not if we start burning money like that. So,
Seriously. Yeah.
they that's I know we don't have much time, but I know you wanted to touch base on a couple of the topics. So I don't want
Yeah.
to
So
belabor it.
speaking of burnt money, and Stony Point is going through a bit of a crisis right now. Um, it's there's a lot of, I almost want to create like my third book just based on this whole thing that's happened. The electrical transmission line that's going down Route 9W,
Right.
and it's been a very difficult time for the various businesses in the area. So yesterday there was a press conference up in Stony Point with Congressman Mike Lawler. I believe you were in attendance as well,
I
Supervisor.
was. Yes, I was there.
Yeah. So did you have any follow-up thoughts? Obviously, it's a $10 million deficit in terms of what the businesses have lost, between 2024 and 25. So do you have any follow-up thoughts on what happened yesterday?
Well, not since yesterday, but clearly we're making our point, and it was great to have a congressman down there. Going to bat for North Rockland, and frankly, this has been not just North Rockland. We've had a mess down further south on 9W, going back a few months, and that was all about the roadways and how bad they were. Um,
Yeah.
Look, let's be clear about this. The project has caused real and measurable harm to our communities. No other way of putting it. Small businesses are getting hammered. They're losing customers. Residents are facing disruptions. Cars are sustaining damage. And it's not that we have been trying to work with Chippy through this whole process, and it's just not working. And there's 2 points that I bring up here. Number one, and this is where failure of government really comes down. This falls to the feet of not just Chippy, but also the state of New York. And the reason
Hmm.
why it falls to the state of New York, very simply, is the fact that that
Well,
some time ago, we had
right.
a governor named Spitzer and an AG, attorney general named Cuomo, and
I
they were
remember.
fighting like hell to make sure that we had Indian Point shut down. Now, I'm not going to
Hmm.
go into a debate about whether or not it should shut down. The fact it was shut down. But here's
Right.
what I will bring up: there were numerous efforts to get across to the hierarchy in Albany. You need to do something to replace the power that's no longer going to be available uh, through Indian Point. To
Hmm.
not do that is reckless. And
Ed, I just want to interject. I don't think it was Spitzer. I think it was Cuomo.
was Cuomo and Spitzer.
I don't know. I just looked it up. It says Cuomo was the one who did it.
Okay, well we'll just blame Andrew Cuomo.
So
All right.
just in case.
Is one of those wackadoos over there.
All right, yeah, so let's cut
Say
that
that.
out till we get.
Yeah, in other words, it was poor decision making. Bottom line,
Yeah,
right?
let's cut that out of the
Yeah,
replay later on, and
don't even
we'll
worry
we'll,
about
we'll get the real answer. I did my own research. I found both of them, but my
it. Okay.
research is basically by age.
Right, right, right.
So, in any event, that was not done. Now this project came along, and it was presented as it was presented as a extension cord from Canada to Queens, and
Hmm.
the extension cord would go in and out of the water here and there, and where it went in the water fine, when it didn't go in the water, they'd have to obviously bury it, and it was presented as a very straightforward, relatively simple matter. We
Hmm.
have come to find out it was anything but, and Chippy knew it. It wasn't like this is a surprise to them. So they engaged in this project. They're not doing the work they should be doing, like as Congressman Lawler said. The failure of them to talk to each other, have running into cross currents with O&R, creating more delays and more problems. It just speaks to a lack of planning and a lack of procedures being followed. So that's one thing it's great. I hear for the people of North Rockland in particular right now,
Right.
at least you know that now it's not just a few people writing letters. Now you have heavy hitters in government, such as our congressman, who are involved directly in this. And you had myself, you had Jim Monahan, our supervisor there. We've had other elected officials involved. So we're coming together to stand shoulder to shoulder in protection of the people of North Rockland and try
Yeah.
to get them relief. That's where that stands right now.
I'm sure it's very much appreciated. I know the North Rockland Chamber of Commerce. I'm not on the board anymore. It's ironic. I stepped off in December, and now so I'm on the outside of it. But I'm really glad that the board members of the chamber are really picking up the ball and running with it. They've been
Yeah,
very helpful.
your replacement was there. The new president was there.
Yes, Stephanie Malowski.
Stephanie,
Yeah.
yes, exactly. So
She was the only one. She's the only one that didn't vote for me to get fired in 2018 when they were like, "Oh, he's a troublemaker." So, but they gave me back the chamber. I was like, "Thank you." I stayed on as president for like a month just to organize everything, and I gave it over to Stephanie, and we got a great board, and every one of them is really invested in trying to get some sort of a solution to this problem.
yep. Well, that's good. She's got some heavy hitters with her now, so
Yeah.
hopefully that helps out a little bit. And finally, just real quick, this
Mhm.
reversal or the reaction to the federal court ruling to save the Hudson bill. We're very disappointed that the court decision struck down the save the Hudson bill, the New York State bill, because they basically said federal court determined that federal law preempts New York law, so it removed the state protections against radioactive waste dumping. Now, I don't look. I am not the smartest man in the world, but it seems to me if you're dumping radioactive waste into the water, it's going to have an effect. And what we're seeing now is the reverse. We're seeing that since it has not been being dumped in, we're seeing an ecological recovery with bald eagles, sturgeon, and even dolphins in the Hudson
Right.
River. So, again, you don't have to be the smartest person in the world to figure out that there is a cause and effect here, and that 400,000 people who signed petitions for this obviously of the same mind and reacted to the state, and the state passed a law. So I'm sure there'll be continued litigation on this, but Holtec back in 2023 was planning to dump 1 million gallons of radioactive wastewater in the Hudson, and it was stopped. But it's like every time you turn around, somebody's trying to do something extremely stupid,
Right. When
very
somebody's
injurious.
Yep.
So again, for the listeners today, let them understand that we are understanding of what's going on. We are going to fight this, obviously, and they have partners in various levels of governments that will stand up and do the right thing here.
I hope so. I remember back, when the Stony Point seals started, that's when the Hudson River was starting to clean up. So
Yep.
I hope that doesn't reverse course. I really don't. Well, County Executive Ed Day, thank you for being on Rockland News today, and appreciate you as always. I look forward to talking with you next time. Thanks for being here.
Okay, I appreciate it, Tom. Thanks a lot. Take care.
All right, great. And just as a reminder, our next guest today is going to be Rich Gore from Rockland BOCES, who's going to be talking with us about the Workforce Development Board and Rockland's works. Stay tuned. We'll just be back in a few moments.